Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. So, through this debate, first, we want to achieve that major corporations only focusing on capability of candidates and but without interference such as appearance and family background, which should be blinded when they interview someone or candidates. That makes selectors to have biased opinions or biased view. And appearance, which is clothing or face itself or height, the candidacy, it should be blind in the interview, and also family background such as dad's job and mother's job, such as this, should be blinded in the interview. So let's now go on to our argumentation. I'll first introduce you our three kind of arguments that will help us to achieve our goal. So first, we'll posit to you about the status quo problem, which is very severe and we have to solve it. So, and the second argument is about how this policy will bring such picture. And thirdly, we'll show about the other effects and outcomes from this policy. So, let's go to the first argumentation. The first level of analysis is that the problem in the status quo that is happening in terms of selectors when they select candidates. So nowadays, when selectors have decision making, the appearance and family background such as this, the factor of decision included to the factor of decision making, and this is a problem because the purpose of candidate selection for major corporations it is selecting intellectuals who is bright enough and intelligent and who have their own capability, and also the selectors have to include that major factors when they select people, and their capability will be focused on. But nowadays in status quo, selectors the appearance and family background, which is not about the capability, matters the decision making of selectors. For example, terrible clothing makes no one will think that your terrible clothing makes me happy, because since they are human also. So obviously they will get affected by those kind of factors. They are not. They are not about the major factors of capability, and this is a problem in status quo that selectors are affected by this appearance and family background, which is not the major, and this often leads to their assumptions for their candidate's capability and biased view. Also, they don't often have right view for this capability of one candidate, and they don't have any reliable or relevant decision making because of this factor. So then, what will gonna happen? So selectors would make decision, and that decision will get affected by their clothing, appearance, and their parents' job. And this is not the way to go for a right corporation selection. And this is the problem, a severe problem in the status quo to corporations. And also for second analysis, it also affects to candidates who apply for the job in major corporations, because they have to care about their clothing and they have to worry about their parents' job, since it is obvious that kind of selectors would see how they wear clothes, or what's their height, and what is their parents' job. But so this is why in status quo many candidates, they worry about their appearance, so they search for best clothing for selection, and they also have a plastic surgery, and this is kind of the also being issues in status quo. So this is the severe problem to the candidate. that how would this policy can solve this status quo problem? So firstly, the corporations, they will be able to select the right intellectuals who are capable of their job and the purpose of their corporations, and they will not be disturbed by the factors that should not be the major factor for the selections. And since they are human, it's almost absolute that selectors would have affected by those kind of minor and appearance the job, parent's job. They would probably have affected by that because they are human. So law have to solve this problem by setting this policy. And for second level of analysis, the candidates would not no more have to search about their appearance, and they will not have worry about their parents' job. So this will make them only focus on major thing, which is capability. Okay.
Speakers go for 6 minutes and 21 seconds.
Interviewing is a method to decide what people does company want to bring into my company through asking several questions. And because it is an interview, that interview has to be at once and taking only for a short time, and also it will be the first time when adjudicators and candidates meet. Through taking fancy candidates, the companies can develop their companies, and as a member of the company, the selected one should work hard and do their best as they are selected. Now, the government is going to mandate a blind interview when major companies are going to select their member, and we as opposition, we bring 3 arguments why we should not announce this policy. Before I go on to my speech, there are several things to rebut on the government side. First, Prime Minister explained about we are now in the status quo focusing on candidates' work and also background. However, as I'm going to put in my argument, these problems cannot be eliminated even government announced this policy. Because first, adjudicators have right to choose candidates who want to become a family member of their company and want to commit for their company for the benefits of their company, and based on the meritocracy today, it is too sure that adjudicators wants to take candidates who are really intelligent and who can be helpful to their companies. Second, the Prime Minister mentioned about the corporation can select more intelligence, but this will explain about in my deputy leader of opposition's argument. So, go back to my speech. We as a opposition, our stance is to blast hard of individual, major company, and even the country. And I, as the Prime Minister, I will explain about this policy's unfairness and risk and backlashes, and my wonderful deputy leader of opposition will explain about this policy cannot identify individuals. So, in this meritocracy country, it is sure that people who do their best and do their work well achieve what they want. And on the contrast, this motion is betraying the meritocracy and make candidates to practice only interview, not to improve their ability, which are needed to the bold companies. And because blind interview cannot play a right role, enormous harm to everyone. And why this blind interview is unfair. If adjudicators have no information about candidates who are willing to go in their go in their company, that the standard of hiring is only a one-stop interview. Government is ignoring the problem of human type problem that blind interview will bring when this policy is announced. There are two biggest unfairness of this blind interview. First, the unfairness of relationship between adjudicators and candidates. There are lots of ways to know who is the adjudicators in the major company because it is blind interview, not the blind adjudicators. And it is also because of this company, the government is defined that they will announce this policy as in the major company. The information is more easier to leak out. Namely, information about the adjudicators can surely goes out. And what does it mean? The candidates who have a relationship with any of the adjudicators can say words. They can show that can show the relationship between the adjudicators and myself. So, for example, even the candidates do not say, "Hi, I'm here for family" or something else. So these make huge discrimination through human tie. Second, the okay. So for example of the discrimination made by relationship between adjudicators and myself, then now I say that, "Hi, honorable adjudicators, my coach is best friend with you," then our honorable adjudicators can't define and clarify that I am the students of her or his best friend. And second, the relationship people who are in the high status in the major company. As I mentioned, because it is blind interview, not blind adjudicators. The candidates know that through their human type, the candidates know that what people related to me are in the high status in the company and say the words not even directly, but they can show that I have a relationship with the high status. So you guys honorable adjudicators have to select me. So accordingly, governments are failed to decrease the corruption during the interview. Second, risk and backlash via blind interview. To emphasize the definition of blind interview, adjudicators did not take any papers about basic information, such age and where they live, or even reason to apply for the company. And this means the company cannot identify the candidates, what kind of crime report they have, or what kind of anything else that they did. And it means companies cannot define the person as how the person has lived, despite all of candidates have the possibility to become a member of their company. As my executive leader of opposition will going to leads to the harm of company, and because they are major companies such as Samsung or something LG and etc. And because the companies plays huge roles as the power of our country. And as I mentioned, they will fully explain from our wonderful executive leader of opposition. And also, candidates can fully lie to the adjudicators. For example, as the example that I gave to honorable adjudicators. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Madam Speaker. As we live in a society where our ability is respected, we believe that pure ability should be prioritized. We think in the status quo, such things are not emphasized, and we would like to change it. This won't magically bring such results immediately or the benefits into picture, but we believe we need some shifts in our current ill-functioning situation, and we want to do that. To move on, I will start with some rebuttals. Well, the speech that the leader of opposition gave us sounded too ideal. They said that these selected workers should work hard because they were elected, they were chosen by these adjudicators in the company, but they sounded too ideal. They didn't provide why they would be motivated to work hard, and they just sounded too ideal. And the second of all, they mentioned that that companies will require personal information because they want to choose intelligent people. But we want to ask you, why do you need personal information when you want to choose intellectuals? We think that personal information is not needed because it will only make the situation worse. And we think that one's abilities should be prioritized instead of these personal information, and we will elaborate that later in my speech. They also said that these kind of candidates will only prepare interviews, but we think that these argument has totally failed because they also mentioned that they won't improve ability. But we think that it is really important to improve one's ability rather than only just to prepare interview. We think it's really important to develop their abilities of oneself. And they also mentioned that these interviews will be in a short time. Well, exactly. Because the interviews are in a short time, their appearance, family background, or anything that is shown to the adjudicators will attract and be a huge impact. And this matters because this will hugely affect the decision that the adjudicators will be making. And they also mentioned about this weird comment that even though we have this blind interview, they will still know the relationship. But what we're trying to do here is that we want to get rid of that, and we want this blind interview to be fair, and they have totally misunderstood it. Now I would like to move on to my arguments. One more thing. They also said that these kind of adjudicators have the right to choose candidates, but yes, it's true because the adjudicators are for choosing candidates. Well, but the purpose of the standards, if we have the personal information, is just wrong in the status quo. Now, our last argument is the result or outcomes under this motion. So, our previous speaker in our team has mentioned that the corporations won't be able to focus on the other minor factors, but on the major factors. I will later elaborate this into two analysis. First, why emphasizing the value of ability is important than other factors. In order for the major corporations to fully develop, they must be able to produce effective workers. They need to choose one with possibility and capability, and not one with a good personal information. So, however, if the emphasis on one's ability decreases, other unimportant factors will arise. For instance, social gender expectations. Each gender has expectations of the society, and they will try to fix that. And each gender will try to fix them into these kind of expectations. So if we emphasize one's personal information, it is quite impossible to see. If we emphasize one's personal information, it is quite impossible to see the wide range and to see the true core factor. Also, because this will allow the corporation to find workers best suitable for them. This is both effective to the corporation and also to the individual. Because the corporations will find someone who is really suitable, and they will have effective results coming out of these workers, and they will have a better development. Secondly, the result of these employees will be developed and increased because that corporation is just capable for them. So the result of the work will be more effective, and it will be developed gradually. Secondly, long-term benefits. As I have already mentioned, the conspicuous effects won't suddenly show up, but will gradually do. Society will have a good cycle because major corporations or major companies, because they are major, pursue one's effort and ability over the impact of other personal information. Other people in the society will try to develop one's ability rather than their appearance, or they can change their family background, do they? So they'll try to develop other unimportant things rather than one's ability. Well, that just goes against what the opposition meritocracy has talked about. So we think let's talk about. So we think that meritocracy is really important because it advances development. I think the opposition has kind of a misinterpretation of what meritocracy really means. We think that meritocracy is about valuing one's ability further beyond one's personal information, which we cannot change easily. So to sum up what I've spoken today is that I first did some rebuttals that the opposition sounded too ideal. Well, it sounded kind of, okay, but it sounded too ideal and didn't have any specific details of why these workers would work hard. They didn't even provide us any examples or explanations about that. And they also said that these people, they haven't even provided any convincing details about why we need these kind of personal information to choose creative intellectuals, and they also need to prove why these kind of why it is good to only prepare for interviews but not to improve ability that I have just mentioned. And our last argument is about the result outcome. And I have two analyses. First, why emphasizing is about the value of ability is important, and second, the long-term benefits. So, because we have provided more information and we have regarded well to the opposite side, we are taking this paper. Thank you.
Fellow debaters and honorable adjudicator, Today, the opposition strongly believes that we should not implement the blind test policy because of several reasons that Prime Minister, the leader of opposition, and me as the deputy leader of opposition is going to mention. Today, I'm going to talk about how blind tests cannot evaluate one's potential in two aspects. But before I go on to my arguments, I would like to make rebuttals on my previous speaker. The leader of opposition has explained about how even if the policy is implemented, the problem that government is showing will not be resolute. And furthermore, I would like to oppose to the government's problem. Why would a company pick a person with a good appearance? They would select people who qualify their bullets and requirements. And for the service works, where appearance plays a significant role, then appearance is the factor that plays a significant role in the work, so this would not be a problem. Also, my previous speaker has mentioned that the workers will not be motivated if we do not implement the policy, but the motivation is also out of the scope of debate because we're talking about selecting people more effectively, and also, Also, even if the policy is in status quo, people are motivated because they are the ones who volunteered to be hired by the corporation and make profit. So they are motivated, actually. Also, she has talked about the personal information, but the personal information includes grades and the educational background. So I'm going to explain it furthermore in my argument. Also, Furthermore, neither the Prime Minister or the Deputy Prime Minister has proved how the ability of a person. And also for our leader of opposition's argument, but there still is a possibility because the adjudicators do not have any personal information about the interviewee, there is a possibility, so our argument stands. Also, So now I would like to go on to my argument. My argument is about how blind tests cannot evaluate one's potential. Think about it this way. Evaluating a potential of a person with only one interview without any basic information is very unfair and risky, as my leader of opposition has mentioned earlier. Well, how long does the interview take? About an hour or less than an hour? Ladies and gentlemen, it would be fair and accurate. It would not be fair and accurate to confirm every opinion of a person. No, thank you. Person within that time. However, in current status quo, we evaluate them by many accurate factors such as grades and performances, as I have mentioned before. These are the result of the effort they have made through a long period of time. Also, in the current status quo, the meritocracy plays a major role in terms of education, but also within the enrollment in the universities, education, and companies, which leads to the competition with getting promotion. So currently, people pay a lot of attention in resulting good grades and performances. By doing so, they can actually learn about their major field and also the interest, which leads them to eventually have a significant self-development. But if the government's policy is implemented, everyone will start to only focus on the interview itself. Although everyone is not born to be a good speaker.
So in some ways, the government is forcing everyone to be a good speaker by implementing the policy, even if people did not intend to be one. And this is blocking the future potential of every person. And this leads to the second aspect of this argument. Interview does not represent every factor of a person. For example, if the policy is enforced and Samsung, one of the major corporations in the country, moves blind tests into action, they will eventually have significant impact on the company itself. I am pretty sure that blind tests are neither fair nor accurate. I am pretty sure that the leader of opposition and I have proven how blind test is neither fair nor accurate. Samsung is the corporation that directly relates to the computer and IT skills. It doesn't necessarily mean that person with a good interview skill is also skilled at these factors that Samsung needs to value. And I want to re-emphasize that in today's debate, we're talking about the major corporation, and Samsung is a company that is directly related to our country. Samsung's technology represents our technology, and also the company plays a significant role in letting the world realize how developed our country is. So, but if the government's policy is implemented, Samsung will not be able to have good employees and eventually have a huge impact on the country also. So the blind test cannot be the only factor in evaluating a person's potential, and I'm proud to oppose.
Our stance is that when major corporations select candidates, they should consider and focus on ability, possibility, and capability, and how that candidate fits to the company. And we think that personal information is unnecessary when picking these candidates. So, before I go into my class, I'd first like to propose some rebuttals. First of all, they mentioned about how fancy candidates will be good to corporations, and how candidates, because they are selected, they will be motivated to work hard. However, isn't this too ideal of an idea for this real world? And actually, they also talked about how corporations have right to choose candidates, and we believe that. And we'd like to ask them: are you denying the problems in the status quo? Are you denying the fact that people are seeing the appearance and people are seeing their family background? So do you really believe that this kind of problem is not happening in status quo? And they also talked about how appearance, for example, in the service area, appearance has significant role in working. However, we, as our Deputy Prime Minister mentioned, there's something called women's right. And have you ever seen men getting plastic surgery because that person works on service area? No. And actually, most people who get plastic surgery and who use cosmetics who works in service area is mostly women, because women are actually the ones who has to look beautiful in current society, and I think we think that this is kind of lowering women's rights. And also people get motivated. We talked about how people get motivated because it has same goals as companies, and we don't really get why they said that they won't be motivated they are still motivated in the status quo, and we don't get that point. And to go on to my first clash is why this motion is needed or not. In the government side, we presented the problems in status quo, and on the opposition side, they presented how this motion can be unfair and how companies cannot identify the people. However, for the unfairness, okay, big companies, adjudicators may be well known because they're big companies. However, because adjudicator doesn't know anything about the candidate except for the name and the information that is related to the company, adjudicator may not have a lot of possibilities that they do not identify who the candidates are until after the interview. So we think that doesn't really stand. And also, that is also a problem in status quo which we want to change, and we want to ask what are you going to do about it. And also, are you just gonna let them have relationship in status quo rather than try to change it? And also they talked about how you can identify these people. However, we're not going to stop companies from getting information about the companies and related to companies. So the candidates in the interview can represent why the candidate wants to go to this company specifically and what he or she wants to achieve in that company. And also, so they talked about how interview is not all. So we like to ask, is appearance, parents' ability, and height or appearance, all of that candidate. No, we believe that by the interview, they can really, employers can really identify why that candidate wants to be employed in this significant companies. And I saw second clash as changes it will bring. And as the government side, we presented the impact and how it will be beneficial to our society. And on the opposition side, they mentioned about backlashes. And what we like to say is that we didn't say, as I mentioned, we didn't say, actually, the backlash they mentioned was how companies can't, mainly how companies cannot identify the person. And as I mentioned, we can do this by the interview. And to summarize our points, first of all, our points was the problems in status quo. How we have to change this kind of status quo where these candidates are judged by the appearance or their parents' ability. And also, we talked about how this policy can bring changes. To corporations, they can provide better and motivated candidates, and candidates can be employed to these companies which have the same goal as candidates, and they can be motivated to work hard for the same goal. And how we mentioned about impact of this motion and how we can stop the social gender expectation. We can decrease the social gender expectation, and how corporations and candidates both can benefit. Thank you.
The selected candidates through the blind interviews can make a great effort for their company. The government side is keep asking about this point, and I will go on the answer of that question. To sum up today's debate, governments are willing to decrease the corruption between adjudicators and considering that adjudicators will stand background as the standard of selecting. However, we as an opposition already fully mentioned because adjudicators can't clarify the lie of their efforts, such as I have this kind of qualification and I am related to your boss, and about the appearances, adjudicators do not consider appearance as government is really concerning about, because the scope of debate is a major company, and there is no reason to consider appearance because major companies' core is to develop better technology, but not taking the candidates who are more beautiful and more advanced. if the scope of debate is the old company, such as minor and major and all of company, then maybe this can be debatable, but we do not admit this discrimination made by appearance. Secondly, we explained about the harm that will even lead to the whole country, but there was no response from the government, because the standard, such as how much their candidate prepared to apply for their company, and how much they have the passion to go into the company, and ask the educator and ask the family member of the company, they have to consider, and they will wonder why they motivated to come to this company, and what kind of potential and how much potential they have when they become a member of their same family. However, through the blind interview, we cannot clarify anything of this as what examples I mentioned. And their company, how much they and maybe it is quite extreme example, but as it also have possibility that the candidate is a spy from the other competing company, because the scope of debate is especially major company, and because the candidates can easily acting, because it's a blind because there is a blind between the honorable adjudicators and themselves. The opposition surely and clearly define and proves that the government cannot solve the problem that they are worrying about. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, through this debate, I firstly want to tell you that selectors, which are adjudicators, they're saying, is not a robot. They're human, so they're affected by those kind of minor effects, such as appearance and their parents' job and other minor factors that are not about the capability of itself. So the first thing that should be emphasized through this debate is fairness, and our team believe that true fairness in this debate is only focusing on capability of that candidates, and we've clearly proved that how this can make selectors and adjudicators to only focus on capability of their candidates. And they just said that we didn't clearly mention that, but we did. Our second argument was only about that improvement of they're focusing on capability of that itself. And also they said they will not have biased view, but this is obviously not correct, because they're human, that's not robot, as I have said in the first. And so we think we need obligation and regulation from government that will regulate that effect of minor factors to selectors. And we also the main thing also also mentioned and this debate is which is better for right decision making for the selectors. So blind interview or open interview. So our government's proof in the second argument that corporations have obvious and clear decision making on focusing on capability of that candidates without any getting affected by minor factors such as appearance, and it will have make a very clear decision making according to our second argument. And also for candidates, they will no more have to care about other minor factors, and they will no more have to worry about their kind of appearance and their parents' job. And this is the real fairness, and this is the right decision making in this that should be achieved. And they said about in the third argument, they said about like short time of interview would not make fair decision making and correct decision making. So exactly because we have short time interviewing, we will just selectors will easily and greatly affected by those binary effects, which are appearance and other minor factors that are not capability because of the short time. So we